What's up, guys? It's Big Dubs. And today I have some kind of crazy theories in my head. And I kind of think that one of the suns in Lubrae could have been the veil, or they shattered the sun to create the veil. I know this sounds pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Um, Sticky MZ on TikTok, and my name is Bife. I looked into their videos, and this is kind of where I started looking into it myself. And when I seen some things in my research, just kind of blew my mind. And this might be true. This might not be true. Maybe I'm giving Bungie writers a lot of credit here, but just the possibility that this could be true is like wild. So let's get into it. We're gonna watch the cutscene real quick, and I'll point out some things that stood out to me. I just also wanted to note some things before we get into the video. I forgot to mention that I think this theory could be true, but the only thing that's weird is the timelines. I don't know if the timeline matches up, and that could be the biggest flaw of this whole theory. So I could be wrong, and this is all speculation.
Before you can confront the witness, you must understand it. The witness's first victims were once like you, struggling for survival, bolstered by hope, until their hopes became reality. They called it the Gardener, their deity of life. It ushered them into a golden age. For eons they prospered, but their newfound god never spoke to them. It lavished them with gifts, but not with guidance. And though they lived in paradise, they came to crave a greater purpose. They desired meaning, structure, a winnower, to shape the garden. Their scholars discovered that the Gardener shared a connection with another entity among the stars. They called it the Veil, and when they found it, they arrived to claim it. They already knew much about the light, how it could bend the laws of the universe and create life. But they came to realize that it could bring ruin just as easily. The cosmic events it set in motion could wipe out entire civilizations in a heartbeat, without reason. And so they saw the light, not as a source of prosperity, but of unfettered chaos. By studying the Veil, they came to know the darkness. A power that was shaped by thought and consciousness. And in the darkness, they found the means to carve away the chaos of existence, to calcify it into a final shape. Eternal and perfected. They brought the Veil back to the Gardener in an attempt to strengthen their connection. There, they could reshape reality itself. The Gardener would not allow it, and so it fled their world. But they would not be deterred. Having witnessed the truth in the darkness, they used its binding power to merge themselves into the salvation they craved. Thus began the Witness's pursuit, its campaign to impose meaning on a meaningless universe. One that is nearly at its end.
Then this part of the cutscene is what I seen Sticky MZ talking about. And when I seen this, I was actually kind of mind blown on this. So,
Studying
right
the
here,
veil, they
this
came.
is the veil, right? This is the traveler. Like, that's the exact same symbol in the Vow of the Disciple mural. So, um, with the lore on Rolk, he lived on the planet of Lubrae, and Lubrae had two suns. It had the Umbral sun that they always said was shrouded in darkness, and the Sapphiric sun, which was always glowing a brilliant blue, and it was giving off life. Giving off life just like the Traveler. We've always kind of been wondering if there's another being like the Traveler. This is the closest thing that we've ever seen to the Traveler. It's what they siphoned energy out of to fuel their city and everything like that. And if you see this veil, it's kind of split in half, and Roke used the Abended to split the sun and everything, and pretty much split his Lubrae in half. So, is it possible that the veil was potentially like created from either just splitting the sulfuric sun, or it was inside the middle of Lubrae or something like that, or it's just they had to break this sun to move the veil out or something like that? Like, when I just kind of started thinking about the possibilities of the situation, it was just absolutely mind blowing. I was like, bro, what? And in this particular lore book, anything with these dashes by them are something the witness is saying. These brackets right here are a flashback, and if there's nothing on it, that's what Rolk is saying. This is kind of where the timelines conflict a little bit, because Rolk's planet Lubrae was visited by the Traveler. So if the Traveler actually did come out of the ground on the Witnesses planet, this might not line up, because you can see that in Roke's flashback it says we are divided, split by a shimmering orb that appeared briefly in our sky, as if having two suns isn't already crowded enough. So that was the Traveler, along with the Sapphiric Sun and the Umbral Sun. It was before my time. It came, we evolved, it left us with a mess. Those who believed in good progress, those who didn't. So, this is what the Traveler has did to many civilizations. They kind of leave them behind. But are these the disasters that the witness knew about? Like, say, if they visited Lubrae first, did they see the mess that it made, and that's why um it was like it sees it as chaos? And in this lore, Roke uncle had a staff, which is the one that he uses now, like the glaive, I guess you could say, Lubrae's rune, and it had a sulfuric converter in here. It just explains that his kind of camp got raided, and then he kept it for his own. He had a sulfuric converter in his hands, which he used to kind of use to project light, pretty much like sulfuric light. And he said that it used to kind of guide him in the night, like when it was dark he was able to like light up the area, so it would kind of, you know keep him safe while he was wandering at night, etc. Okay, this is where everybody's gonna call me crazy and say I'm reaching. Okay, the sun was a sulfuric sun. I was literally just Googling the meaning of that to try to see if I could find anything. And I found out we have a sulfuric mandala. Tell me what this looks like to you. Tell me what this looks like to you. And uh if you don't know what I'm talking about, there you go. And I even went as far as to Google the meaning, and it actually says this here: a geometric figure representing the universe in Hindu and Buddhism. It also says here that a mandala is a symbol of the universe in its ideal form. Bro, I was actually like shaking. I was like, oh, this would be so sick, man. Like, oh, this is the whole conspiracy. Everybody's going to be in the comments flaming, like, you're so wrong. But, like, wow. And so, Roke had a idea of the final shape. His ideal of the final shape was dominance. If you're weaker than somebody else, the stronger one will destroy you until all the weak has been kind of purged from the universe and stuff like that. It's kind of like in nature how there's predators and prey. If you're not strong enough and if you're considered insignificant, you're going to be ran over and killed. And so um pretty much Rolk talks about after he split Lubrae, he gained control of the strings of fate. And it's highly like kind of thought of in the community that the traveler is kind of like where universes meet, and it's like the witness is trying to manipulate um the universe to kind of shape it in the way they want it. And he says in this particular um message in the preservation mission, like word for word, that like, I'll always thank you for what I gained, control or the fate of the world. You know what I mean? It's like crazy. Let me play that.
I keep this mural not as some worthless sentimental reminder of what I lost, but of the opposite. Of what I gained. Power. Truth of the inconsequence of most. Control over the universal strings of fate. For all this, I am eternally grateful, my witness.
So like when he says that, right? That's not anything light. He's talking about something. And what is it that the witness needed to get inside the traveler? If the traveler is where the strings of fate are, then like what is quote unquote the key, or what controls it? The veil. So is the veil on Lubrae? I mean, it seems like it, because it's like out of all his troubles, the witness promised him something and they found it. Now I'm gonna play another section of that same cutscene that we've been looking at this whole time, but I'm really honing in to all the animations and wording that they're using, because if the wording that they're using is true, this kind of is like gonna tie a lot of things together here.
By studying the veil, they came to know the darkness. A power that was shaped by thought and consciousness. And in the darkness, they found the means to carve away the chaos of existence, to calcify it into a final shape. Eternal and perfected. They brought the veil back to the gardener in an attempt to strengthen their connection. There, they could reshape reality itself. The gardener would not allow it. And so it fled their world.
Okay. Now, what are we looking at here now? So, What I'm looking at is this part right here where Rolk implodes the sun. So he's destroying the sulfuric sun. He's like, Lubrae shattering, Lubrae is a bending. What have I done? And then he's using luster from the witness, which is that like kind of orange or red aura that all the disciples been using, like you know how Callus is forming the minigun and everything like that out of nothing. And so he's saying a shattered sky, our planet convulsing, etc. And there's a part here where, and it's this part right here where it says Roke opens his eyes, crawls forth through the blackened solution that engulfed him all this time, emerges from the wall of obsidian like miasma to find his luster, to find Lubrae's ruin. Taking them, he rises to his feet. What do you feel, my child? Relief.
Create life, but they came to realize that it could bring ruin just as easily. The cosmic events it set in motion could wipe out entire civilizations in a heartbeat, without reason.
And I think that this part's just interesting because in that cutscene, they're kind of showing that the light is, chaos, and they're kind of afraid of what it could do. And it shows a volcano, and Rolk is talking about a wall of obsidian, which obsidian is like a byproduct of lava from a volcano if it cools too quickly and it has uh minimal mineral buildup on it. And so it's just interesting how they kind of show that like animation, and he also talks about it as well. And then the last point that I kind of want to touch on in that snippet that I put is that they say that as they studied the veil, they came to know the darkness. So the only subclass that we actually needed the veil to use the darkness for was Strand. Clovis Bray made Stasis, and we don't know who made Luster. But essentially, if they studied the darkness, they could be able to use Luster before they even had the veil. So they could have had, you know, Luster at any time, really. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the first time that Roke meets the witness, he's using Luster, and he gives Roke Luster. He channels it in his glaive, and that's how he kind of destroys everybody. And I'm bringing this up because that kind of means that just because he has luster doesn't mean that it was after they got the veil. They could have got the veil from Lubrae. And here's how we know that the witness had luster when he met Roke. I am unbroken. I see your luster, disarming the beasts who dared to approach, their flesh melting in your presence, and we see yours. And then he says, where opportunity, ruin, whatever, and says, your voice subsides, but your luster remains. It is a familiar one, like that of our umbral sun, aka the darkness. So, to summarize everything up, in my opinion and in my research, I feel like the witness looked out into space and they seen, hey, the sulfuric sun really resembles the traveler. He went to go seek out the traveler, and he kind of manipulated Roke's father. Roke's father was kind of psycho to some people. They would say he was a traitor. He was on one side, then another side. And then he manipulated essentially like Roke's father to push Roke over the edge. He found Roke at his lowest point, and he's like, become my disciple, come with me, help me get this veil. Then Roke pretty much killed all his whole civilization to be the last one to prove, he's the strongest. And then essentially he breaks the Saphiric Sun. Then the witness sees, wow, that quote unquote light uh relic did all this chaos that pretty much destroyed this whole planet. We're so afraid of the light. They might do that to us. And then he saved Roke essentially. He came out of the wall of obsidian, which I believe is the deep. And then essentially they took the veil um to the witnesses planet, and then they try to link it, and that's why Roke was so loyal, because he actually seen the witness using the veil, and he got a glimpse of like that power, like the power to control fate. And then he's like, wow, I'll be by your side forever. I'm so grateful for all your lessons and everything like that, and everything that you've given me, and you've enlightened me so much, and then I'll always be here for you. And then it's just crazy. Then he goes, takes the Leviathan's rib and all that, makes the Hive of Gods, etc. I don't know, man. It's a little bit of a kind of conspiracy type thing, but I mean, this would be so cool. You can't even lie. Oh yes. Just so you know, I'm not a lore channel. I do a lot of raids, dungeons, etc. And so I'm not necessarily qualified in lore, but I just wanted to share this stuff because me not being a lore junkie was just kind of killing me while looking into this. And for all those people that are actually into lore, you can just chip in, tell me what you think, if any of these things are relevant or not. Again, I really do want to give a shout out to Sticky on TikTok, and my name is Bife because I pretty much referred to both of their videos. Pretty much my name is Bife. I looked at the history of Rolk. I also use like Destinypedia, and then Sticky's just kind of been talking about the veil. And again, it's like some of this information is from them. So I mean, I'm not trying to take any shine away from anybody. I'm just trying to kind of put this out there and see if this is a possibility. Again, I don't know if the writers of Destiny have any of this in mind. This could be just me totally making stuff up. But just imagine if this stuff is true and the veil was found on Lubrae. Uh, it just it's just crazy. It makes sense to me at least, and I don't know. Well, anyways, thank you for sitting through this video, and like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I really don't, do lore much, so can't really guarantee that there's gonna be some more juicy lore. But yeah, thank you again, and have a amazing day. Let's see maybe what happens at reset.